So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
So let me ask you, guys do something that I think is really great in terms of collaborating with other breweries that might be up and coming, that might, have little young superstars of brewing in there. Do you feel like that's just what you're supposed to do? I mean, I think Mikkeller does it a lot as well. Everywhere they go, that is the first thing you see them doing is running to collaborate. And I think that is amazing. I really appreciate that. If you could speak on that a bit.
I don't think that's something that we feel like compelled or like that we're supposed to do at all. I think like you get down and you have a brewery and the first thing you want to do is go hang out with other brewers and do shit and brew beer. I think, 90% of us started as like home brewers and stuff. And let me see what that is.
I think.
Are you CIPing? Are you CIPing right now? But if you look at the significance of Big Beer specifically spending millions of dollars to keep people of color in a box, very specifically. They don't do that for anybody else except for maybe lower income, white people, in the Midwest, Lone Star, other beers like that. But very specifically, the 40 ounce was created for people of color to abuse, period. So I just think it's a really special thing to see this community, gravitate to craft beer. And again, what do you feel like? Do you feel like there is a reach back? Do you feel like there is acknowledgement from craft beer and or Firestone Walker in that movement?
I think the way that I see it is that it's very cheesy to think about it that way. It's like it doesn't see color, like beer doesn't. People are just, it's like the beer is made for the consumer. The consumer can be whoever it wants. But I think that over time there's been a lot of pigeonholing. Only this kind of person drinks this beer, and that's what the market tells you, the market research tells you, so that's what you focus on. And now, especially with this beer community that we're developing in LA, you're seeing that it's not the case. It's just like this one hipster bearded guy that's drinking your beer. It's everybody. Yeah. It's women, it's men, it's all kinds, especially, you mentioned Stone Pastina. That was just what the people that would show up there on a Friday night was the range of
super
everything.
Range.
Gay community, every ethnicity, tourists,
Yo,
you just saw
I met the dude
there.
that drives the Mars rover.
Shit.
And he's like
Caltech,
this,
JPL people.
And he's a little Mexican kid with a mohawk. But I'm curious of what are you doing things more to be available in communities that wouldn't have your beer otherwise?
I honestly see 805 billboards all over South Central and East LA. I remember one of the first times, because I live in East LA, I saw David was on a billboard. It was just a generic Firestone billboard, and I was like, what the fuck? I mean, I know, but I'm like, what? Yeah. But now, it's liquor stores all over, they'll have the 805 branding. Even around here, Mar Vista was, before it started to get gentrified, it was predominantly lower middle class people of color. And you just go to these liquor stores and you can see at least 805. I think that's the gateway Firestone beer. But I have plenty of people they get stuck on the Pivo Easy Jack. It's just awesome. But you're right. It's how do you introduce this? And I think that part of it is you start off with something like 805 because that's familiar.
Right.
And it's when someone asks you for something that's a Budweiser or a Corona, it's not exactly the same, but it's the closest that we got.
Right.
And it changes people's palate.
It does.
Two other things too. I mean, another thing is we couldn't even sell all the beer that we were making outside of the Central Coast for the longest time.
Wow.
So even to get down here, we had to expand, and then we just had to expand again. Right. And so now that we actually have enough, we can make enough beer to get into supermarkets and grocery stores, and gas stations and all that, all over, and then with the marketing aspect, and then a big part of that whole puzzle is this place too, so getting into the LA beer scene, a big part of that was building a place in LA where people like you guys can come and drink Firestone beer and have that experience with us.